I just dropped out of school. I have no money. I'm knocking doors to sell solar. I don't even know how to do this. Should I just go back to school? Should I just move back home? I wanted to quit pretty much every day for the first couple of weeks. And for like 3 weeks straight, I'm talking 12, 13-hour days, I did not get a single sale. And I remember there was a pivotal moment where I was sitting on the curb. It was almost 9 p.m. It's getting dark. Literally, I was on the verge of quitting. I was calling my family. I was like, I don't know what I just did. And this guy drives by in his minivan. He's like yelling out the window, Michael, me and my wife want to talk to you about solar. I get in this guy's minivan, drive back to his house, cook me dinner, and I signed up my first solar deal.
Man, what a great story.
And then it was lights on from there.
What up? Another episode of Prosper Pod. Got with me the one and only Mikey Cav.
Let's go.
Interesting fact about you, which a lot of people don't know.
Oh, we're starting with this. All right.
You already know what I'm about to say. Huh?
I do.
You're a celebrity. You're a childhood actor.
I had a brief stint as a child actor. I think that's a more appropriate way to address it.
You're still getting royalties from it.
I do still get paid. It's a good business.
What movie were you in?
Grown Ups, the first one.
Tell them about it. It's actually a fun story. We got to share it.
I played Adam Sandler as a kid, so every actor had a child actor in that movie, and I played him as a kid. So I'm like the first person you see when the movie opens. I got curly hair. I'm dribbling the basketball. That's me.
Yeah. I saw a picture of you in Grown Ups. I'm like, oh, that's Mikey.
Yep.
You can still recognize you, even as a kid. But for this podcast, what I really want to dig into is your experience in sales. Talk about your journey, your progression, because you've been in sales for over a decade.
Yeah.
And then also not only sales tactics of what people, like tactical advice people can take away and directly apply to their business, but also leadership lessons you've learned along the way as well. So how old were you when you first got into sales, and how did you get started?
Like actual direct sales, I was 20 years old. But before
what do you
that,
mean actual direct?
Well, I was
like
in
under the table like weed business before.
I joined a network marketing company in high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was in it. So that is direct sales, right? You're recruiting. Yeah. So I did that when I was 16, and then I got into door-to-door sales when I was 20.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Did you kill it off the bat or struggle?
No, I mean in the network marketing, we got a little bit of momentum. In that business, you got to build like two legs.
What were you selling?
We were selling Vima. It was the
what is that?
It's like the energy drinks with 10 million bananas in it. That it was like the healthiest drink out there. It was like an alternative to Red Bull, and they did it all MLM style. And it's supposed to make it so you don't get hungover. You get all your vitamins, nutrients, minerals, all in an energy drink.
So what's the macros on 10 million bananas?
No idea, man. No idea.
Okay.
No idea. But I heard an earful of it in high school. We got it going a bit. We had some success, and I had a kid from Norway that was a foreign exchange student, played soccer with me, so we expanded it globally, but I didn't get my other leg going well enough to really reward the fruits. But I definitely got in a lot of trouble in high school for promoting it. That was a big no-no.
In your high school?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I got an in-school suspension.
For selling your energy drinks?
Yeah.
Are there actual rules against that?
For soliciting, so I learned about no soliciting at a young age.
Is that a thing in high school?
I don't know what it was. It was just I just kept having conversations with people during class, and so my teacher was like,
slinging it out of your backpack and like
yeah,
selling
exactly,
cans,
yeah, exactly, yeah. We're
like
signing people up.
It
was a pretty sophisticated town in south of Boston, right? A lot of people with good families that went to really good schools and very traditional, wealthy town, and so the network marketing was not widely accepted. So it was a brief stint we had.
Okay.
And then 20 years old, door to door, I was terrible. I dropped out of school, 20 years old, got in a car. In 3 days, we drove from Boston to California. I got there. I was like, all right, I have no idea where I'm staying. I have no money. I have no idea what's about to happen. That day, they handed me an iPad, and they were like, all right, we'll see you guys in the morning. We go there the next day. They're like, all right, everybody start doing role play. We're going to pitch. Because all these guys had been in solar before. They'd been in sales, so they had experience. I was the only one without actual experience. And I didn't have a car, so I would get dropped off every single morning in turf, what they call it. And I get dropped off, just have to go out and knock doors. And for like 3 weeks straight, I'm talking 12, 13-hour days, I did not get a single sale.
Took you 3 weeks, huh?
Took me 3 weeks.
So it took us both the same amount of time to get our first sale.
Like 2.5 to 3 weeks, yeah. Yep.
What was your mindset going through that?
My mindset was, what in God's name did I just do? I just dropped out of school. I have no money. I'm knocking doors to sell solar. I don't even know how to do this. Should I just go back to school? Should I just move back home? I wanted to quit pretty much every day for the first couple of weeks. And I remember there was a pivotal moment where I was sitting on the curb. It was almost 9 p.m. It's getting dark in the summertime in California. And I knocked on this guy's door and I gave him a business card. Everybody's like, don't give business cards. You'll never get any business from it. But, it made me feel productive because I wasn't getting any wins. So I'm like, if I could just get something, hand a business card. I did. And I sat there waiting for my carpool to come pick me up. And this guy drives by in his minivan. He's like yelling out the window, Michael, me and my wife want to talk to you about solar. And I was on the verge of quitting. I was calling my family. I was like, I don't know what I just did. This guy drives by. He's like, come. I get in this guy's minivan, drive back to his house.
Drives you back to his house.
Cook me dinner, dude. Cook me dinner in the
go.
Bay Area. I have dinner. And I signed up my first solar deal.
Man, what a great story.
And then it was lights on from there.
Okay, hold on. Pause. Before this, was this a Hermosi type story where you dropped out of school, your parents are horribly disappointed in you, you don't even tell them that you're moving to California until halfway across the country? Or did they support you?
No, my dad was super supportive of it. I called my dad. I said, hey, I have this opportunity. I think I probably oversold it. I'm like, I have this opportunity to work for a startup in the energy field and solar, renewable energy. My dad's an engineer, so he was like, this sounds great. Well, I'm like, Dad, I'm about to go knock on doors and, heckle people to sell solar. But he was supportive. He told me, I actually had a lot of fear about it because I was like, man, this is kind of a crazy decision. Everybody I knew went to college, right? I didn't even want to go to school. I just felt like a peer pressure in high school to go to college because everybody in my town was. Mm-hmm. Like we were one of those towns that like barely anybody went to the military, barely anybody went to the workforce. Like everybody went to a college and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
So when I told my dad, I said, hey, I'm thinking of dropping out, working at the startup. He was in favor of it because the guy I told you earlier that was foreign exchange from Norway. In Norway, no kids when they graduate high school go to college. They all have to work or go to like a junior college specific to a trade. Because when you're 18 years old, it's like you've just been in high school. You're learning algebra, geometry, history, all these things that aren't going to apply to the real world. It's like, how can you actually understand what you want to do?
Yeah.
So my dad actually pitched me on that before going to college. He's like, if you don't want to go, it's okay. And I felt the pressure to go. So when I had the conversation with him, he was like, what's the worst that's going to happen? He goes, you fail, you learn a lot, and you can go back to school. And I was like, it's a good way to think.
That's great advice.
It's great advice, man.
Yeah.
My dad's awesome.
So
my mom on the other side, we held off on telling my mom. Before I even told them though, I went down to the school and I filled out the piece of paperwork because I'm an adult. You're 18 years old. I was 19 at the time or 20, and I was like, yeah, I'm dropping out of school. And they're like, well, my guidance counselor was like, that's not a good idea. Have you talked to your parents? Like, we should reach out to your parents. I'm like, you don't have any right to reach out to my parents. I'm an adult, and I'm deciding that I'm leaving school. So I had actually committed, signed the paperwork to withdraw from school before I even told my parents. But my dad was supportive, and my mom, she's a mom. They look out for your safety. She was definitely scared. I remember I was supposed to wait. It was like 5 weeks. So I was supposed to spend like 5 weeks with my family in the summer. I get a call. They said, hey, we're leaving in like 6 days. You can come with us, or you can wait and go in the second wave. But if you go in the second wave, then you won't be there in the beginning, and you might not get equity in the startup. And I was like, well, I want equity in the startup, so I'm going to go. And I remember getting picked up in the car, and my mom was crying.
What a great sales pitch.
Yeah, what a great sales pitch. Did I get the equity in the company? No, but damn, what a sales pitch that was. But yeah, my mom was crying. She was scared. But then I think once I started getting results, having success, the first thing I did was I bought my mom some nice gifts, and I was like, Mom, it's working out, so. But yeah, my parents were supportive for sure. So I got lucky there.
What advice did you give your younger self for starting in sales?
I would focus 100% on the mindset. I think the mindset's everything. I got lucky that we were doing like Grant Cardone sales training every day, 8 a.m., 6 segments. Like that was the culture we had. If you didn't watch your sales training before 8 a.m. sales meeting, so like 7 in the morning, every morning I had Grant Cardone in my ear talking like positive mental attitude, all these mindset ideas that I've heard, but I didn't really get, repeated, just every day kind of brainwashing me. And if I go back, I would just focus on that. I'm like, it's really just you versus you. Door to door is hard. Sure, you're walking in the heat, but it's not that physical. Like business is a mental warfare. And as long as you can be in control of your mind, you can reach higher levels of success in sales and business. So that would be the first thing. I would go back and really dial in my mindset even better than I had it at the time. Because I had a lot of fear, I had a lot of anxiety, I had a lot of these emotions and feelings and things that I didn't know quite how to deal with, or how to face myself or be self-aware enough, because I was so young. Like 20 years old is young.
Yeah.
To be going into a brand new startup.
Yeah. What did your first year look like?
My first year looked like the first 2 months absolutely sucked, and then I made $60,000 in the next 4 months. And the rest was history. And from there, multiple six figures the next year, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. By the fourth month, I was like the top producer by like panel count, system size. So I went from like, dude, we should send this kid home, nobody wants to knock with him, to, all right, this guy's now the top producer. So it was a quick shift in 90 days. So I think a lot can change in 90 days when you put your head down.
What would you say to the agent watching this right now where they are in that, I don't know, this is for me, I want to be a top producer, I want to be producing 40K a month, etc., but they just haven't hit that mental switch yet?
Yeah, I think when anybody gets into a sales opportunity, whether you get recruited or you find it on your own, there's a moment when you make a decision, when you say, you know what, I can take full advantage of this opportunity. I can accomplish some of the goals and dreams I have in my life, and I can make the income, and I can actually get ahead in life through this opportunity. So like the belief is really, really high. You get excited about it, and then you get into the field and you start getting rejected and slapped and hit in the face, and you're like, oh, this is more difficult than I thought. But nobody's ever told you it was going to be easy. So when you get in that situation, it's like you got to remind yourself of who that person was that made the decision to join the opportunity in the first place. So like one hack that I would do is, instead of just writing the goals down, because I used to do that every day, twice a day in my 10X planner, shout out Grant Cardone, but I used to write it down twice a day. And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I don't get as moved when I read books. I get more moved emotionally when I watch movies, because I'm like, I like to see the emotions that it elicits. You can see the actors, like you can feel it, see it. It's just more real. So I started creating selfie videos for myself where I would tell myself commitments. I'd be like, I'm not going to drink for 90 days. I'm going to work X amount of hours. I'm going to produce X amount of results. I'm going to read. And I would read all my commitments and all my goals to myself in a video where I was pretty fired up. And then anytime where I was feeling like the lull or the lack of the motivation, the discipline kept you going. But I would just watch that video and I'd be like, oh, I was in that state. Just because I'm in a state right now where maybe I'm having a tough day or not getting the results I want, I just remind myself of the commitments I made and the mood I was in. So a lot of people make commitments in a different mood, and then they get into a different mood, and then they back out of all their commitments.
That's good. I've never heard of somebody doing that before. Recording yourself, saying the affirmation, saying your goals back to you, and listening. That's powerful. I like that. I'm going to have to try that.
It's good. I got a whole camera roll of old selfie videos.
I like that. Have you ever been punched in the face?
I have.
Literally?
Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
You can.
Why is that?
This is just.
Still got a black eye?
No, this is honestly a completely random thought I had. But as you're talking, I'm thinking, and I think that you're talking about getting humbled on the doors. And when you're punched in the face, not only metaphorically, but also literally, it's the most sobering thing ever.
It is.
I went on stage at convention and shared that. I don't know if you heard talked about when I was at a party and got beat up pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next day and I've never had so much mental clarity in my life.
Yeah.
I looked at myself and it just felt it's just the most sobering, crystal clear, mentally, I don't know what it was, but I looked at myself and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think everybody at some point in their life, they need to get punched in the face, not only metaphorically, physically.
Yeah.
And you can tell when you're talking to somebody, it's like, this guy's never been punched in the face before.
It's a wake-up call. I had an instance when we were out in California, and we were out, partying a bit, and I was like, man, I know I need to be more locked in on work, but we decided to go out and party. A couple of the kids I was with were talking smack to people next to us. Fight broke out. I got blindsided by a huge Samoan cat, just like hit me in the face. Dude rocked me like 5 feet back. The security came over. They were like, dude, I'm surprised you're not like knocked out cold. And I remember waking up the next day, a huge black eye on my face. And that next morning is when I made one of those commitment videos. And I was like, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to be surrounded by the wrong crowd. I'm committed to X, Y, and Z. And that was a pivotal moment. After that, I had like my top 90 days in business at the time, like produce at a crazy high level. And it's just kind of one of those wake-up calls where they say you don't change until you go through enough pain. Something like that will get you to
continue
reevaluate.
To experience pain until you've experienced enough pain to make a change.
Exactly. And unfortunately, like through my life, I've had to get reminded of those things. But it's a non-fun reminder, but it's real.
That's powerful. But also metaphorically, when you're out in the doors or you're on the phones, and you're just getting crapped on. It's all your ego. Everything dissipates.
100%.
And that's moments like that are so powerful because they really ground you and shapes who you are. And I keep that at the forefront of my mind. And that's one thing that I use to keep myself humble. Is anytime I get a little egotistical, and we all struggle with ego to some degree.
Sure.
But I reflect back on, hey, you used to be this person. You didn't always be this person. And also, hey, if you don't keep pushing, this is who you could go back to.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to an Andy Frisella podcast this morning on the car ride here to the office. And he was talking about, he has a personal net worth of over $1 billion. And he was talking about on the podcast, he said, I still wake up every day and feel like I'm going to go out of business. I still show up to the office every day.
It's a healthy amount of paranoia.
Yeah. PBD talks about only the paranoid survive.
Yeah. There's a great book by, I think it's Andy Grove. I think it's literally called Only the Paranoid Survive. There's a guy who ran he also wrote one of my favorite books when I was learning leadership management called High Output Management. But this guy ran a business. I forget the exact. It was like 8 or 9 years ago when I read it. But he was running like a semiconductor business for Intel, and they had to completely shift their business model. Like, just imagine you're manufacturing, computer chips, and you have to pivot to, I don't know, manufacturing water bottles. It wasn't that crazy, but it was a huge shift. He had to completely uproot, change his company. But one of the principles in that book was only the paranoid survive. So I think there's a healthy amount of anxiety to succeed in business because you don't think rainy days are coming, you don't think things are going to go wrong. But once you're in business long enough, you start to realize, all right, a lot of things happen outside of your control that you have no control over. And it's how do you react to those things, and how do you try to predict those things, and how do you understand that things are going to go wrong outside of your control. And it's that's okay. That's part of business. It's if you've been in business long enough, people give you advice. They're don't expect that it's always going to be good. Unfortunately for me, in the first 5-6 years, it was just kind of up until it wasn't. But so I just thought, I was man, I'm an exception to the rule. Like you said today, you're not an exception to the rule, but there was years where I was I'm an exception to the rule.
Yeah, we all deal with that to some degree. Let me ask you, because it's easy to be motivated when you're broke and you're struggling.
Yeah.
How do you stay hungry when when you're doing well, when you're making money? How do you stay just as disciplined then?
Yeah, I think the motivation's different. How do you stay just as disciplined? I think that just has to all do with your routine, your mindset, and what you're going after, and stay focused on the goal. What I realized when I was young, it's I used to be just upset. I used to have a background on my phone of a Ferrari, and I'm if I just buy a Ferrari, I'll be that's the goal. I'm if I just get the Ferrari, I'll be happier. If I just get the watch, if I get the car, you start thinking about just these materialistic things. And the truth of it is, man, what I've realized is as I've made more money and as I've gone into business and the businesses have scaled and grown, it's when you're starting out and you've never made 6 figures, when you first make your first 100K, you think you're the man. You're dude, I'm sick. I just made $100,000 a year, more than other people. Once you make 7 figures in a year, you're dude, I am the man. I made 7 figures in a year.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, but then the moment you start to get around people that are legit players in business, you realize you're man, that's really not a lot of money. It is relative to the everyday person, but when there's levels to business, it's what does the U.S. call a small business? Anything under 40 million. So anything under 40 million is a small business, which is crazy to think about.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I heard it on a video on an Instagram reel, but I've read the statistic before, so that guy could be wrong. Who knows?
I don't know if that's
How
true.
do you trust data these days?
True, but I'm fired up.
Yeah. Makes sense, though.
I believe it.
There's a lot of companies that are a lot bigger than you think.
Even when we were in New York and we were hanging out at the Yankees game, we were around some highly successful people. I was oh, wow, I'm actually not doing anything.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about the business, and that guy's yeah, we just bought a cricket team. And I'm oh, that's interesting.
Casual conversations. When did you get serious about transitioning from a solo producer to a leader and actually building a sales team?
Probably heading into my second year of the business, and it wasn't even because I made that clear distinction. I basically got promoted through it just because I was producing, doing all the right things. But we were a startup. I was young, man. I was 21 years old, and I got in a position where I became an area sales manager. The following 9 months, I became a regional sales manager. 6 months later than that, I became a director of sales. So I was managing all Southern California. So I was managing, at that time, I think it was 22 or 23. So maybe a few kids my age, but the majority of the people are 24 to 30, right? So everybody's older than me. And it gave me a bit of that like imposter syndrome where I was like, wow, how do I know enough to actually coach these people and lead these people? And I think you can get motivated by certain things. There was a bit of like insecurity and uncertainty in my own leadership abilities. So I just went deep. Like every single night I would be reading books, listening to podcasts, because I'd have to run a sales meeting every morning. And I'd never wanted to show up to a sales meeting and not provide value. So I would spend 30, 45 minutes every night watching some podcasts, some YouTube, reading some book to take some sort of value from somebody else and then bring that to my team.
What are the best books on leadership you've read?
Dude, anything by John C. Maxwell has been solid. We did a lot of that. Yeah. I genuinely learned a lot of leadership from, I used to just watch Ed Milet all the time. So it wasn't even as much podcast. It was just watching him and his principles. And what he got me to understand was a lot of it is just about your level of self-development. It's like, how much self-improvement have you made? Like, how much self-awareness do you have? How what's your ability to actually analyze yourself? So with that being said, there's a book called Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker. It's more of a management book, but
yeah, that came out in the 90s, right?
Yeah, something like that. But it just talks about book. You can't manage other people until you understand yourself, and that's really the battle I think that everybody's on this earth to, is like figure out who you are, figure out your strengths, figure out your weaknesses, and the more self-aware you are, the better you are at understanding that, so that you can understand other people. Like the best leaders have empathy for other individuals. Like you don't know what's going on in somebody's life, you don't know their insecurities, their fears, but you have to try to understand what makes somebody tick, what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, and that's all leadership is. It's understanding people to a higher degree. So I think a lot of it's just psychological. So I spent a lot of time like understanding psychology, learning psychology of sales, which I do believe had a big transformation in leadership ability.
Learning how to read people and also understanding what motivates people.
100%.
Because not everybody's motivated the same. Some people are motivated by significance or status. Some people are motivated financially.
Yeah.
Some people are motivated by incentives, and
Yeah.
some people just are motivated by a community.
Exactly.
And a group of people to be around.
Yeah, I learned that one from Tony Robbins, like the different levels of what motivates people, like the significance. And then the other thing that I think has guided me a lot is like the Maslow hierarchy of needs or hierarchy of values. It's like understanding what you value and helping people understand what they value. Because if you're always acting in accordance to your highest values, you have integrity, and you're never going to deal with any of these imposter syndrome or any of these insecurities or fears. And I have to remind myself of that constantly. I'm like, am I actually operating off of what I truly believe, or am I allowing other people's ideas and beliefs to influence me? And now I'm acting out of integrity. Now I'm acting, and you feel incongruent with yourself. So I think the more congruent you feel within yourself of how you operate, how you do business, how you act, the better. Anytime that I've lacked success in business, relationships, friendships, my own health, spirituality, is anytime I've acted out of accordance to my own values.
What are some mistakes you've made in leadership or lessons you've learned?
Being too nice to people. I think that's one. I got a lot of love in my heart, and I wasn't always the best at confronting. So I think I was definitely too nice to people. For a while, I think I was more of like the cool uncle than the dad that you look up to. And I know there's a funny analogy I use with a lot of people. It's like the cool uncle that lets you have a beer at the barbecue when you're 15 years old versus your dad that's like, you're grounded. You're 15 years old, you can't drink alcohol. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. And there's a difference. And in business, it's like you actually are responsible for the organization. So when you understand that your loyalty, number one, is to the organization, number two, it's to an individual. So I found myself constantly being loyal to the individual, not to the organization. So I'd spend so much time trying to help people that didn't want to be helped. I would try to help people that weren't actually just seeking to get to the next level, because I was like, man, I see potential in you. Even if you don't see it, I'm going to do everything I can to pull it out of you. And what you'll do is you'll spend a ton of time with the wrong people.
That's so good. Our goal is to be far enough ahead of our people to cast the vision and pull them upwards, but not too far, but not on the same level as them where we're on the same playing field.
Yeah.
And you can't be the savior of your people. That's what I've learned.
Yep.
There's only one savior, is Jesus Christ, and he was crucified on a cross. So if you try to save everyone, you end up saving no one and destroying yourself in the process. You cannot want it more for somebody than they want it for themselves.
Yeah. It's a harsh lesson that you got to learn, but it's better to learn it young.
Yeah. So how do you hold somebody to a high standard and have those uncomfortable conversations without being a dictator?
Well, I think if you run an organization, it's got to be in your culture. If you talk about Andy Frisella, I was at an event with Andy Frisella at Milet, and he was a big proponent of like your core values as a business. It's like, just if you have
Was it his the syndicate?
Yeah. I got invited to that years back. But he hammered this lesson on stage about the core values. And he's like, man, the moment that I just put the core values everywhere, and it's like, hey, this is how we operate. You operate based off of the principles. So if everybody understands the values of what you're working in that organization, it's like you're signing up for it, right? Well, I think what happens is, whether it's business, relationship, is people all of a sudden are like, you know what, now I need to put in these boundaries and these standards, these expectations, where it's like that stuff needs to be up front. So if you're bringing somebody on and you set the expectation up front, you set the standard, you set the what's accepted of culture, because culture in a business is just what's accepted and what's tolerated. If you tolerate agents to complain constantly about whatever it is, let's say it's the leads, it's this, whatever it is, and that becomes an accepted part of the culture, people are going to continue to complain. So whatever you tolerate in your culture of your business becomes accepted, and that's how you build a culture. So I think a lot of it is just defining the culture, which ultimately relies on the leader to establish that. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that the hard way. It's like you start making exceptions, you start making excuses, and then all of a sudden that stuff spreads, and it's like you can have a few negative people in your business that are cancerous, just like cancer in your body. The moment you allow it to happen, it starts spreading everywhere.
You got to cut it out.
100%.
Yeah. And a lot of times your organization is a direct reflection of yourself.
Indeed.
So if I see a negative, or if you see an organization that's negative, a lot of times it's a reflection of the leader, where the leader, without even realizing it, he could be negative.
Of course.
And that's spreading to his people. If you see a culture of showing up blatant complacency, it could be because the leader is complacent and negative. So a lot of the issues you're facing within your sales organization is a direct reflection of yourself. So a lot of times you need to look inward, and you talked about, have that level of self-reflection where, hey, where do I need to develop, and then help hold your people and lead from the front, and then hold them to that same standard.
Yeah.
Like Andy Frisella, he was talking about his core values, and he said, the values of your company, it's not something you put on a poster that looks pretty that you have on the wall, or you tell people. It's how you make decisions. It's the core of your organization.
100%.
So one example, he said our factory floor is completely spotless, 24/7. He said, hey, if I see trash on the floor,
picks it up.
Yeah, he said, I go, instead of yelling at somebody and saying, hey, go pick it up, he said, I'll go sweep it up, and then eventually somebody will come over and say, hey, Andy, I got it, don't worry about it. And then I'll ask them, hey, these are our core values. Hey, help me understand what happened. Oh, we just got busy, and this happened, and this, and da-da-da-da. And then he has that conversation with them and explain, hey, this is why we do this. And by leading from the front, and that's so important.
100%.
Yeah.
We're humans, man. Everybody makes mistakes, and it's just you got to be reminded and get brought back to it. And I think ultimately it's just principle, like everything. How you make business decisions, how you invest, it's like you have to have principles. If you don't have principles, you're going based off of emotions, and if you operate in business off of emotions, it's going to be very difficult.
What's helped you regulate your emotions and stay level?
The truth is, and it's taken me probably till I'm 30 to truly understand this, is that the healthier I am, the more in control of my mind and my emotions I am.
Yes.
I think that's from a discipline standpoint, but it's also just what you're putting into your body that affects your gut. It affects everything. So I think just like the healthier you are in your personal habits, and that you talk about discipline, self-love, but it's like, I'm not the most religious, but get biblical. It's like your body's a temple. And the more I've understood that, it's like you make excuses, you can drink a little bit, eat a little unhealthy. It's like you're going to feel that. You do that in a weekend, you eat really unhealthy, you have some drinks, Monday you're going to feel it, it's going to bleed in, and has a cascading effect. So that's what I've understood. I haven't been perfect with it, but I've been being able to understand it's like the healthier I am, the more clear I am, the healthier that I eat, the more clear my gut is, the more clear my decisions are, and the less emotional I am, and the more I can actually, when I do something or I feel a certain way, I can analyze it and not be impacted by it. I think when people get really emotional, it's because they're not in control of their own mind, because they're not in control of the stuff you're putting into your body. And I think it really is that simple.
It really is. A lot of it relates back to your gut. What are some healthy habits that you've implemented that have really helped you?
Well, I think the healthiest habit that I've ever implemented, and I'm back on it right now, is just not drinking right now. Like I just made a decision not too long ago. I'm like, it just doesn't serve me. It's easy in all these high-level business, networking events, things I get invited to just have a couple drinks. Have a couple drinks, eat something that you maybe don't want to, just because you're in this societal situation where it's like, oh, this is okay. And then all of a sudden you make the excuse once, and then all of a sudden it doesn't become an excuse, it becomes part of your lifestyle. So I'd say limiting alcohol is a big one. And then the other one is cleansing. It's not just in anything, right? It's like it's the biggest habit that you need to remove that's going to make the impact. It's not the habit that you have to add. You have to ask yourself, like, what do I need to remove from my life? Like, that was probably the most important thing when I was young. When I got into business, I had a mentor, and he was like, dude, you're not smoking weed, you're not drinking alcohol, you're not watching video games, you're not doing any of these things that are giving you cheap dopamine. And I think that's a valuable lesson. I had to remember that moving forward, because now we're in a stage where this thing's like in control of your life, where people are more susceptible to dopamine than probably at any point in history. Mm-hmm. So it's like the more that you can be in control of your dopamine outlets, the better you're going to be. And then just cleansing, man. I think a lot of the food we have in this country, we're not going to get into this, but a lot of it's not that healthy. I think there's a lot of things in the U.S. that if you go to Europe and these other countries, like these things don't exist. Different chemicals, different things that happen in your food. So I think that a lot of our organs and our bodies are just really overworked trying to digest all the crap that's in food. So it's less of what you're putting in, it's more just removing stuff from your body. So I do some health cleanses once in a while, whether that be juice cleanses, fasting, actual heavy metal, parasite cleanses. And after I do that, I just feel sharp. I feel confident in myself, I feel sharp, and I feel ready to take on business at a different level.
Have you read the book The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson?
I haven't.
I read that at 18 years old, and it has legitimately forever shaped the way I think and process. I'm always thinking, hey, what Atomic Habits talks about this too.
Yeah,
James Clear.
Read that.
Where it talks about, hey, what are the little 1% things I can do? So one thing that I've implemented this year is just cutting out as many seed oils as possible. It's almost impossible to completely cut out seed oils.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult.
But we used to buy the prepackaged bag of rice, and now we make our own rice.
That's good.
Just getting our meat a little bit cleaner. So now we get our steaks and from a local farm that I know, hey, this was grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Drinking raw milk, getting raw butter, really like eating completely clean ingredients. And even I've noticed a difference. And does it make a world of difference? Is it going to change your life? No. But does it make a difference?
100%.
Yes. Even if it's a small percentile. So all these little things, like you said, hey, choosing, even if it's one drink, choosing not to have a drink at dinner. What I've noticed is, hey, even if I have a glass of bourbon or 2 glasses of bourbon, the next day I'm in the gym, I'm a little bit more lethargic. And it's nothing crazy, too. It's just a little thing, a little bit more lethargic, less sharp, don't have as much energy. But over time, these things really compound.
Yep.
So like you said, you said it, I like the way you phrased it. Is this serving me? Is this helping me, or is this hindering me from my goals?
100%.
And if you can analyze every part of your day where, hey, if I sit here and scroll for 5 minutes, is it helping me, or is it serving me, or is it hindering me?
Yeah.
And analyze, and if you can have that mindset and that thought process with every decision you make and really analyze your day-to-day, your life is going to be, I promise you, tremendously better.
100%, dude. It's an energy game at the end of the day. You said it. It's like I feel more energy. Sleep is another important thing, but it's like I've realized I'm like things are either going to give me energy or they're going to take my energy. Like it's one or the other. It's like things either give you energy, they take your energy. If I scroll on social media 10 minutes later, do I feel more energetic or do I feel less energetic?
Oh yeah.
We know what the answer is, and I think most people. I think we're at a time, dude, and where so many people are just so inundated with everything that it's actually is really easy to win in business if you can just form healthier habits than most individuals, because there's just so many easy ways where people are getting inundated with dopamine and things that just rob you of your energy. So like the people that are winning at a high level in business, when you get around them, they have an aura. It's like, what is the aura? It's the energy. It's like how they actually feel when you walk into a room with somebody. You're like, dude, that dude's got a different level of energy. It's like, well, they're making conscious decisions. They're making
one of the
decisions
best
give them
pieces
more
of advice
energy.
I got, it really stuck with me. It said, the higher energy you have, Jonah, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah.
And when I was told that, I was like, dang, I never
Makes
thought
sense.
about it that way. So if I can just have a higher level of energy, and you feel it, you said it. When you walk into a room, you feel that. So again, when you're drinking, when you're doing these different things, a lot of it's depleting your energy levels.
Yeah.
And you, like some people, you feel it, where on the flip side of that, you feel like Eeyore. They feel like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. It's like you're talking to them and they're just completely emotionless and just drained. And
Yeah.
I don't want to be around this person.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around people that are not only energy sappers, even if they're not an energy sapper, but they don't have energy themselves. That also drains your energy.
100%.
Like I want to be around people that are fired up.
And I think you got to go through it to know it, right? It's like to be able to identify with yourself. It's like, man, these things make me feel worse. They take away my energy, and these things don't. And that comes to like the self-awareness of it. Where I think a lot of the reason why people do things, whether they're drink or do drugs or eat unhealthy or do things that are unproductive, binge watch Netflix, is just because they're dealing with emotions and processing different things in their life. And those things are all numbing, where it's like the more that you can just confront whatever you have to confront in your life, the more that you can confront and have the uncomfortable conversations from the beginning in business, the better off you are. And so like you talked about lessons, and I know we went on a tangent, but that was one of the most valuable lessons I've learned, that I didn't do that. I didn't do a good job of confronting myself or confronting others when I should have. So then things boil up, and the longer you let things wait, the worse it is. Think about fear. It's like you're scared to do something. Does time help that, or does it make it worse?
Makes it worse.
Time only makes it worse because it gives you more time to overthink and think about it. And then all of a sudden you start processing. Your brain, naturally wired for survival, is going to start tricking you into all these worst possible outcomes. So it's false events appearing real.
Let me butt in. That's so good, because I want to emphasize what you said, because there's a major difference. I was just training on this. There's a major difference between self-analyzation and overthinking. And there's a fine line between the two. I see a lot of agents where they fall into this trap of overthinking and procrastinating. So the quicker you can have a thought to put that into action, the more successful you're going to be.
100%.
Successful people, they make decisions quickly.
100%.
Like, you're sitting there analyzing, oh, should we do this? Should we do that? This other guy, he's already done it, failed twice. He's implemented it, tweaked, adjusted, and boom, now he's crushing you, and you're still analyzing, figuring out what you should do. But it's
easy for the overthinker to look at those people and be like, look at all the mistakes they're making. It's like, well, they're doing, you know what I mean?
They're doing. Move fast and break things. But also, if you're just go, action taking, and you don't take time to self-reflect, then that can be toxic as well. So just having that time where, for me, just taking 10 minutes every day.
Yeah.
And just sitting there with your thoughts, or doing breath work or prayer, or I'm not a journaler, but some people journal, or doing these different, it's so powerful. And for me, wherever I've lived, I've always had a spot where I go and think.
Yeah,
I think every man needs a thinking spot.
Mine's when I'm in my car, man, and I'm driving by myself.
Yeah. When I was a kid,
therapeutic.
When I was a kid, there was this pond a few miles from my house that nobody knew about, and just like 5 acre plot of land. And I would go there, and there's this giant tree stand, and I would climb this tree stand. Never brought anybody there. I don't want them thinking
we're promoting Mountain Valley. We'll put that over there.
Nobody else knew about it, but I would go there, and I would just climb up in this tree stand, and I would just think as a kid. And when I was living in Chicago, there's a spot on the beach.
Yeah.
Like, I would sit on this log, and I would just look at the waves. And I think having a spot where you can go and physically think and analyze is important. Yeah, because you want to be surrounded by people that push you and motivate you to be better, but it's hard to personally develop if you're always around people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's one of the other most important lessons I've learned in life. It's like, you have to be comfortable being alone.
Yes.
You have to be.
Especially for a successful relationship.
Exactly. Whether it's romantic, business, everything, it's like you just have to be comfortable with yourself. You have to be comfortable with your own thoughts. You have to be comfortable with your own mind. And that's what I said about leadership. It's like the best leaders, it's like they're at peace with their own mind. Now, that doesn't mean their life's peaceful. It's probably very chaotic, but they're at peace with their own mind. And I did that lesson yesterday, and I'm like, that's what I realized. It's like, what is success for me? It's like, success for me, sure, it's being healthy. Sure, it's having a beautiful family. Sure, it's having a ton of money and having the freedom and to be able to have the access to do the things I want, to be able to have the impact that I want, all those things. But ultimately, what I've realized, I'm like, you know what? There's never going to be enough money where it's like, I don't think there's a number for me. I'm like, okay, you'll be satisfied. So I thought to myself, what does it really mean to be successful for me? I'm like, to be able to just have peace of mind that no matter what's going on in my life, the good, the bad, the ugly, this too shall pass. Just have peace of mind in those situations. And if you can have control over your mind, then I think that is the ultimate success. And I think most of us are prisoners to our own mind, and prisoners to our own body, and prisoners to society. So if you can be at peace with the world, these wars are going on. What does everything get you in fear? Now the stock market's crashing. They, hey, we're going to bomb this country. Oh my God, there's a war going to happen. Oh, guess what they're doing? They're tanking the stock market. They're telling you what they're going to do. Now the stock market's down. Now people are freaking out. There's war. I'm in financial struggle. And then all of a sudden, what happens when people operate out of fear? They start to choose unhealthy habits because they don't know how to deal with that emotion. And that's really where the make or break between really successful people and people that aren't as successful is like they just have more control of their mind. They have more peace of mind in those situations. Like, business is not always sunshine and rainbows. A lot of conflicts in your business, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course.
A lot of stuff you got to deal with, a lot of problems, putting out fires, the fireman. It's like, okay, well, be at peace. And if you can be at peace with that, then I think you're successful. I think you can reach higher levels, because business is about pressure. How much pressure can you handle? How much delayed gratification? Can you keep reinvesting? Can you keep putting out the fires? Can you keep dealing with the problems? Can you take every single problem, see as an opportunity to make improvements? And if you can, you have the right mindset, then you're successful, in my opinion, because you're always making progress no matter what is going on in your life external.
If you can't control your mind, you're never going to be in control of your life or your business.
Agreed.
I remember someone told me at 18, 19 years old that ever stuck with me. They said, Jonah, people are forever controlled by fear and greed.
Yep.
And if you look at a lot of people, it's interesting.
Yeah.
When you look at it from that lens and that perspective, you realize, it made me think, oh, wow, that's actually true. And I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. That's
Fear
honestly
and greed.
great advice.
Yeah. What advice would you give somebody to start taking more control of their mind? Because I see it with so many people. They struggle with anxiety or just overthinking or getting in their head or doubting themselves. And
I mean, dude, I think the number one thing is just remove that one. Look at yourself and what's the biggest bad habit. For some people, it's smoking weed. For some people, it's drinking alcohol. For some people, it's playing video games. For some people, it's binge watching Netflix, right? For like whatever it is, it's like just find that one habit that you can just remove from your life and get that one habit removed. And then all of a sudden take a look at yourself. Now you're going to build self-confidence because you're removing a bad habit. And the other thing I'd say is just having the discipline to stay true to your commitments, man. Like any time that I've made commitments and I haven't stayed true to it, it affects my self-confidence. Mm-hmm. Not my self-esteem, my self-confidence.
Yes.
So I think to be more in control of your mind is a self-confidence game. Ed Milet says it, keep the promises you make to yourself, but you're building a reputation with yourself. That's what you're doing. In business, if you get shit done and you execute, you then become trusted. You have a reputation, so people are confident in you because they can trust you. Well, you need to be able to trust yourself. And I think that's the most important thing. So no matter where you're at, whether you're like, dude, I'm depressed, I hate my life, I'm in a tough spot, I have no money, or you're like, you know what, I've got some level of success, I'm just struggling to get to the next level. Like no matter where you are, it's usually there's a habit and there's thought processes that just aren't serving you. So it's like one, whether you meditate or pray, you got to spend some time on introspection and actually be able to sit there with your thoughts and be calm. That's something that I had a hard time with because I didn't have prayer in my life for majority of my 20s. So I was just doing it through sheer willpower and determination, just pushing and fighting through it. And I think a lot of people just push and fight and go through it, and they don't really have the support system or the healthy habits that are going to help them get in control of their mind. So one, you have to realize your mind's like a glass of water. This is a Darren Hardy reference. It's the first thing I learned in network marketing when I was 16 years old. There's this book, and it was about crabs in the bucket. This guy, Darren Hardy, talked about if you're becoming successful, it's like being a crab in a bucket. If you're a crab, you start crawling out. All the other crabs are going to pull that crab down out of that bucket, even though it can escape, because that's just how it works, right? There's a fear of like the community pulling back in. He also said your brain's like a glass of water. Stick a glass of water out on a table, come back 2 weeks later, it's going to be filled with dirt and dust, and you're not going to want to drink it. Where if you pour it under a faucet, it's going to have constant fresh water. It's like your mind's the same way. He goes, you need to constantly replenish your mind with positive information. So it's not just what you're consuming in your body, it's what you're consuming in your mind. What are you reading? Are you listening to, like, I haven't watched the news, dude, in 10 plus years, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't spend time.
Most credible news source, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, but it's like even, you know, there's always an agenda for everybody, right?
Yeah.
There's something to gain for somebody, so there's always an agenda. So it's like I try to limit that intake. You know, it's funny, even like watching certain movies, certain TV shows, and if I start watching it and I'm like, this is getting me to think in ways that I don't think are productive, it's like I don't want to watch it anymore. I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like, this is dark, or this is this is negative, and whoever created this, I don't think had good intentions. I'm not going to watch it. And I think just having that discipline and understanding, it's like, how does this make me feel? How does it make me think? Is it shifting my beliefs? And the more you can realize how things are impacting you, the more conscious you are on the decisions you're making.
That's powerful. Speaking of the crab analogy, there's what are those crabs called? I think there's show crabs. There's show crabs, or there's a crab, and look this up, where they have you seen the crabs where they pick up all this stuff along the beach and they stick it to their shell? Have you heard of this?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, there's those real crabs.
Like all the trash and everything?
Yeah, all the trash.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they have trash, they have they pick up different wrappers, different things, and that's what they literally embed into their shell. And that's kind of how we are as people, where what we're consuming, whether we realize it or not, is affecting our subconscious.
Yeah,
I just posted a reel this morning on one of my social media, and I said, if a great way to judge someone's character is pay attention to what type of music they listen to. Somebody that's always listening to rap music, what is rap music promoting? Fear, greed, lust, violence.
Yeah.
And if you look at that person, a lot of times they're acting from a place of fear, greed, lust, violence. They have anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Guys will be listening to Suicide Boys and wondering why they're depressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, listen to the music you're consuming.
Yeah, dude, I like the house music. I like the music with no lyrics. You know, I like the old soul music now. I listen to a lot of rap growing up, dude. It has negative impacts, like all that stuff. Anything that's movies and music.
And there's science to it.
Oh,
rap music is operating between 440 hertz to 432 hertz.
Oh yeah.
And so it's when you're
Slow
listening
frequency.
to that, you're listening to that type of frequency. It's just it goes into your subconscious, whether you realize it or not. And to your point, you listen to house music, jazz, anything that has positive vibrations, you feel more at peace.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm trying to calm my mind to sleep, I'll just put on like high frequency hertz in the background. Just sound bites and just get tranquil. It's like when you get a massage, you know, and they got like the relaxing, calming music. It's like just do that and it just eases your mind, man. Your energy. So it's all energy game.
That's actually one thing that I started doing. I got this from Joe Basso, actually. He told us we were in New York about a year ago. He's like, dude, I get a massage every single week.
Yeah.
And I heard that. I was like, damn, that's a great idea. So we started doing that. Bro, like we get a massage every Sunday. It's a great way to just decompress and reflect back on the week.
Yeah, it's helped. I haven't got one in weeks. I'm due for one.
Yeah, that hour-long massage, because you're not on your phone, you're not asleep, but you're laying there, and I'm just able to like mentally reflect back on the week and like process everything that happened.
100%.
Going to the next week, it's a great way to unplug.
You're releasing stuff, bro. You got knots in your back from anger, just releasing. You're
That
releasing
too.
all that.
That too. Have you read the book The Body Keeps the Score?
No, but I've watched enough videos to understand things, and it's like I've done enough things and understand like acupuncture, reflexology, you know what I mean, where it's like it's crazy where they can at certain points in your feet that if you press into it really hard and it hurts, it's like, well, that's your liver and that's attached to that emotion and I'm like, it sounded a little bit hoopla, but I'm like, well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
all that stuff makes sense. Your body stores a lot of emotion.
They've actually had the science to prove this, where I believe 3% of diseases is genetic. Another 5% of diseases is based on your environment and what you consume. And then 90% of the diseases that you get in life come from your thoughts.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
When I heard that, I was like, damn, that is wild.
It's crazy.
So you talk about self-reflection. A lot of times people, if you don't correctly process through and let things go, whether it's forgive that person, do this, process that, acknowledge that, the number one person that we're not honest with is ourselves.
Yep.
Whether it's we don't want to sit with our uncomfortable thoughts, or we don't want to keep the promises we made to ourselves.
Yep.
But you talk about building self-confidence and resilience. I mean, that is fundamental. That is number one. If you can't keep the promises you made to yourself, well, then you're not going anywhere in life.
100%.
Yeah. So it starts with that. So, Mikey, in closing.
Yes, sir. What time? Yeah, good timing.
Yeah. How late are we? How long have we been filming for?
It's been a while.
Yeah, this has been good. This has been
55 minutes.
Yeah, we're out of time. So we're wrapping up here. This is one question I like to ask people. It's a deep question. At the end of your life, when everything's said and done, what do you want to be remembered for?
At the end of my life, what do I want other people to remember me for?
Yes.
I've gotten to a point in my life where I realize if I do things and make decisions with the need of approval or desire of an outcome to get people to view me or perceive me in a certain way, I'll often act potentially not in accordance to my values. So that to me is an interesting question. I think if I look back in life, it's like, what do I not want to regret? What I want to be remembered for? Truthfully, I want to be remembered for helping people that maybe weren't born into the best family, a silver spoon, into a family or an environment where they were destined to be successful, and helping people get in control of their mind and get in control of their health so they can actually achieve a level of success and happiness. And that's why I've enjoyed doing direct sales. And I think in any of the businesses that I do next, it's always going to be, how do I improve somebody's health situation, or how do I improve their financial situation to truly have an impact that moves the needle for them? So if I could be remembered as impacting people's lives in a positive way and allowing them to become healthier, because I think even if you help somebody with a life insurance policy or a financial investment, or back when I was doing solar, we were helping people save money. When you do that, it lifts some sort of stress and some sort of burden off that person. And if somebody's less stressed, the more healthier they're going to be. The more healthier you are, the less disease you have. So that's what I believe. I had a lot of my family members diagnosed with cancer, heart issues, high blood pressure, just a lot of different things. And I think a lot of this, you see a lot of people struggling with mental health, physical health, and all these things in medicine. It's like there's all these disease and trauma and all these things that people just don't really know how to get a grasp on. And I truly realize, like, if you can help people get in control of their mind and their health, then they're just going to live a much better, much more healthier lifestyle. So that's what I'd like to be remembered as, is impacting as many people as I can in a positive way to get in more control of their mind and their health so they can be more successful for whatever that means to them.
So powerful. I love that. We're out of time. This has been a great podcast. Guys, if you took value, like, subscribe, comment, share with somebody else who needs to hear this. And I was telling you at the beginning of this podcast, we got to do a part 2 where we get all the boys on. We get 3-4 people on the podcast, and we just go deep in conspiracies. So Mikey's got a few, so drop in the comments if you want to hear us do a full conspiracy podcast.
That might be behind a paywall on an encrypted site.
We'll do Joe Rogan style. Let's put on some physical tinfoil hats. We'll get the cigars in here, Joe Rogan style.
Yeah, I'm down for the cigars. I don't know about the hats, but
all right. Thanks for listening. God bless, guys.
Appreciate you.